Marlo, thank you for being here on Spark TV.
Woo! Thank you.
Look, let's start by telling everybody about G-Pump, because when some fabulous people in our community connected us and were like, you have got to get Marlo on the show, I looked you up and I'm like, oh my God, are you telling me exercise can be fun? I'm shocked.
Even possible?
Yeah. I don't know. You have to convince me. So tell us about the biz and then how you actually got there. So was there a career beforehand, other businesses? Like, how did we get here?
Yeah, it's a fun story. First, amazing that I think when, you said you landed on the G-Pump page and you're like, wow, exercise can be fun. I love hearing that, because that is exactly the ethos that G-Pump carries with every piece of content, with every workout, with every playlist. It's all about having the best time ever. And that's exactly why G-Pump was designed, because I don't find joy in doing burpees and being yelled at and pushing tires and, getting on one of those, what are they called? Like ergo machines or something. It's called an ergo machine. Say no more. I don't want to be a part of that.
Totally. I don't want to be on any machine.
And I think, we've been conditioned to, as we've got older, when you're little, you go dancing, you play team sports, you're part of clubs, and you're constantly moving in a way that really brings you joy. And then kind of as we get older and we get into the corporate hustle of things, moving our body is no longer a joy, it's a chore. And it's something that, yes, it's punishment. And if it's not making us miserable, then surely it's probably not doing much. And if it's not doing much, then what the hell is the point? Because why would we do something that purely brings us joy, right? That sounds like a ludicrous idea. So that's effectively the G-Pump mission. It is to change the way that people feel about exercise, and it's to change the way that they feel about themselves. So we're all about building confidence, building booties, and showing you a side of exercise that does exist. It just, I'm working really hard on building a platform so that more people get to enjoy it. So that's the G-Pump ethos.
That's so cool. So
fun.
I love it. Firstly, congratulations.
Thanks.
So what brought you to this point? Like, do you, were you a personal trainer? Were you tell me the backstory. How did you get to launching this?
Yeah, it's a good question, because I would definitely say it wasn't linear in that I studied sports science and I always knew that I wanted to be in exercise. So I grew up as a ballerina. So moving my body and performing brought me a lot of joy. And I did that for 20 years. And then,
oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a serious ballerina. That's not like I did ballet. Yeah.
It was like a 6-day a week, went to the Australian Ballet School. Like,
oh my God.
The mission was prima ballerina status, and then interestingly, as soon as the joy was taken away, and all of a sudden it wasn't about dancing to feel your passion, it was about turning up to class to try and beat the girl next to you. All of a sudden I really lost that passion. So one day I just stopped dancing and I went cold turkey. And I hear of a lot of people that do that, and I think it's because it's almost too painful to kind of do it half-half. Because it constantly reminds you of maybe a life that could have been. So I stopped dancing altogether and decided that I should get a serious job in the corporate world.
Excellent. Love that for you.
So little Miles went off to university and I studied media communications. I really wanted to be a journalist. I wanted to be Samantha Jones, like be fabulous, write fabulous things. And then I took one journalism lecture and I wanted to poke my eye out. It was so boring. Ended up changing all of my subjects towards marketing. And then effectively for the next 10 years, kind of dabbled in media agencies. I was a senior project manager. I was building like web projects with multinational teams and stakeholders around the world. And Danielle, one day I just woke up and I was like, what the hell am I doing? How on earth did I get here? It was so uninspiring, and it didn't bring me joy at all. But what did bring me joy was me implementing a health and wellness program in the corporate job that I didn't like.
Cool.
And I got to channel good vibes effectively into the office. And we really encouraged people to move. And we would have sort of fitness Fridays where every hour on the hour, we would have to get up and do some sort of exercise. And even the guys that didn't want a bar of it, I forced them into it in the most joyful way possible. I forced them into this movement, and you could just see how much joy it was bringing them. Like, they couldn't do the moves. It didn't matter. Everyone was moving their bodies and like having a really good time to music. And I just thought, this is such a power. Like, why don't we choose to do this more?
Yeah.
So I started doing a whole bunch of spin in the lead up to my wedding, and I really, really liked spin and the endorphin rush that it gave me. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to become a spin instructor. So I did the study, I did the training, and I was a spin instructor at a few different studios around Sydney. And again, to the power and also the responsibility that you have as a fitness instructor, being at the front of a classroom and changing someone's day or changing someone's mind about what they're capable of on that day is so powerful. And being able to see them leave the room, you know, like hot, sweaty mess, but smiling from ear to ear, like that was so rewarding. Wow. And I thought, I want to give this feeling to as many people as possible. So I decided to start G Pump when I was looking for, I think, a mental health escape from living in a new city, being in a corporate job that I didn't like, saving all of my pennies for a wedding. So I didn't really have much time or cash to spend on sort of immersing myself in a new city.
Yeah.
So for some reason, I thought I should start a business instead, because that sounds far less stressful.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Oh dear. So look, I started pulling on high cut lycra leotards and waking up at 4:30, and my gorgeous husband, my fiance at the time, would roll out of bed with me, and I was, you know, gluing fake eyelashes on. It was like a Wednesday morning before work, and we would drive down to Coogee as the sun was rising, and I would film these G Pump workouts. And when I look back on them now, Danielle, they're so bad. They're so bad.
I am sure they're not, but yes.
The wind's like blowing directly into the microphone. You can't hear what I'm saying. Like, the lighting's horrible. But you know what? I look at those workouts and I just think I was out there doing it.
Totally.
And even if those workouts just changed the way that one person felt that day, then that for me was enough of a driver to get out of bed. You know what, to be honest, even if it just changed the way that I felt that day, then the job was done, you know?
But they say that, right? Like, there is that thing, you know, if you're not embarrassed by the first product, first content, first anything that you're putting out, you are going too late, right? Like, it's, you know, it is perfectionism that holds so many people back. You know, they see people who are in year 10, year 20 of their business and go, well, I'm not that, so I won't start. Fail fast, fail often. That is where you learn and grow. And if I hadn't have been brave enough, because it was super brave, like my ass was hanging out, everything was happening, and I wasn't doing them, then you never have that starting point, you know, and I would never be able to look back and go, wow, look how far that I've come. Look how far the community has come, and the business has come from that point. And I'm such an advocate for just start. Like, don't wait for anyone
to hold your hand and step you through it. You just have to start. So I did. I just started. And then after we got married, I just felt like there was a whole bunch of stuff going on in my life and I couldn't give the business everything that I wanted to. But I knew that I wasn't closing it forever. I was just like, I'm going to put that on simmer for a little bit.
Yeah.
Go and get a few more life experiences, and then I'm going to come back to it. So in that time, I started my own fashion label.
You really are a sucker for punishment, aren't you?
Yes, because let me tell you, fashion, guys, listeners, fashion is so hard. It is so hard. And again, if I didn't have these experiences, I wouldn't look at a Zimmerman or an Age or Camilla and Marks, any successful Australian fashion business, I have next level respect for, because I know how much slogging they have had to do and how much financial investment it takes to get a fashion brand off the ground. So look, naive little Marls, started drawing up some designs, started patterning my own stuff. And I was advertising. Well, I wasn't advertising. I was kind of just saying on social media, hey guys, I made this dress. What do you think? And then a whole bunch of people like, hey, I really like that dress. Can I have one? So I, sort of started building up all of these orders. And anyway, I quit my job, launched the business, did that for about 2.5 years. I had some like incredible highlights. It was featured in Vogue, dressed Elena Cardone on stage. Like it was,
wow.
It was really fun. And then, as a lot of stories go, the pandemic hit.
Love that. Yep. Oh, God.
And everyone was wearing tracksuit pants, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, how can you compete with the iconic same-day delivery and a 90-day return policy? Like, I'm sitting there in my Sydney apartment sewing things by hand. I ain't getting it to you on the same day, my friend.
But the love that's gone in, the blood.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Surely that offset same day delivery.
Yeah.
Apparently not. Apparently not.
It's a small 3-week wait.
Yeah, that's right.
So look, effectively my target audience, which was, a corporate stylish woman, she wasn't going into the office, and all of a sudden people's financial situations changed. My financial situation changed. And we just packed up our life in Sydney and we moved back to Melbourne because we're like, oh no, what if we don't see our family again? And then the day that we got back to Melbourne was the first day of the 120-day lockdown.
Oh my God.
Yay.
Oh my God. So you didn't see them anyway?
No, because they weren't even in our 5K radius.
Oh,
fantastic.
No.
So that was the time. So you know what? There were lots of dark moments in that time. But the one thing that I kept searching for during those times was joy. And gyms were closed. Everyone was down. The whole world was affected by this once in a lifetime thing. And I just thought, you know what? I have this business, which is all about joy and changing the way that people feel and getting them off the couch, because heck, we were all spending a lot of time watching Netflix.
Yes, guilty.
And I just thought, you know what? It's going to keep me busy. It's going to keep other people moving and engaged. All the branding and the audience has been established. Like, let's just switch it on again and see what happens. So I turned our double garage into a G Pump studio, and I went, Danielle, I went hell for leather. I was recording 3 workouts a day for 6 weeks. And I built up this studio and a lot of muscle, might I add.
Yes.
There was a lot of working out.
Oh my God.
And I launched the G Pump studio. And
I did think of that. I actually thought of that when I've obviously been stalking you on Instagram. And I was like, I wonder how many you record in a day and how exhausting that must be.
Yes, it's very exhausting. But honestly, I was like, there's literally nothing else to do.
Totally,
we can't even leave the house, you know, for more than an hour to go to Coles.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was waking up. I really lent into a routine. I was setting my alarm at 6. I was at the computer by 6:30 and I was working 14-hour days. Like I was building workouts. I was building my website. I was doing all the social media. Like I was just pumping it. And in a very short amount of time, I built a really engaged community because I think so many of us were seeking out like just a little bit of goodness in every day, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, since then, after about a solid year of building the studio, my husband and I were like, right, we need to get the hell out of Victoria because this place is upside down and back to front at the moment.
Yeah, total PTSD from the pandemic. Yeah,
seriously. Yep. And then poor New South Wales copped it really bad as well, just after Melbourne. But we bought a Land Rover Defender. We put our 2 Whippets in the back of it and we traveled around Tasmania for 3 months.
Awesome.
And it was absolutely spectacular and beautiful and challenging. And, you know, we just made wonderful memories. And then we spent the rest of the year traveling up the east coast of Australia, filming workouts on some of the most amazing beaches I've ever set foot on. It's just amazing. So for anyone that was or is still in lockdown around the world, they can access a G-Pump workout from the beaches of Australia. You don't even need to buy a plane ticket. You don't need to drive anywhere. And you get to travel whilst having a really good time.
That is absolutely incredible. I love it. And what an amazing experience as well. Like, you know, going from being trapped inside your garage to, you know, actually taking it on the road. And that's what I love. I mean, I know we had a bit of a joke about people who starting businesses for the flexibility. I know. but amazing that it kind of did give you that, right? Like it actually, you know, if you were still stuck in corporate job land, you may not have been able to take 3 months off and have amazing experiences. But because you have this vehicle, which is the business, you were able to bring that into what you did in the business and create that and pass that joy on to other people. I think that's so cool.
Absolutely. And like you say, what's the point? You know, utilize the word free in freelancer, you know, like just take it, run with it, make it yours. And I think so often we can get caught up in the, oh, well, I've got my to-do list, like we were talking about, needs to be done. Everything needs to be ticked off, but the to-do list will never end. It will literally never end. There will always be something else. And it was just so lovely to, you know, get to maybe halfway through my to-do list for the day and look up and be like, oh, wow, there's a pod of dolphins swimming past, like, you know, a swim cart beach in Tasmania. I was like, yep, this is pretty great. But I think a lot of people use the word luck, like you're so lucky. And it's like, I
absolutely not
have worked my ass off. And also traveling with 2 dogs and a small business. And my husband was launching his small business, the digital sales community, at the same time.
Oh my God.
So we're both hustling in small businesses with dogs, no shower, no clean running water. You know, there are different challenges, but it looked really great on Instagram.
Well, I mean, that's helpful considering, you know, content is everything.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was a good time.
So talk to me about building your community. So, you know, you talked about, you know, that period of crazy hustle, 6 weeks in lockdown, go. What was it about that, do you think, that, you know, helped you grow so rapidly?
Good question. I think it was definitely a combination of I was not fearful. There wasn't a shred of fear in my eyes. I was reaching out to people on Instagram that I considered part of my target audience. So women that I felt aligned with the sort of brand persona in mind. And I would send them a cold VM, you know, I would follow them. I would engage in their content. I would send them a voicemail
Wow.
Hey, it's Marlo here from G Pump. I just wanted to let you know, I know that things are a little bit shitty right now, but I've just launched G Pump. We've got all of these amazing workouts in a G Pump studio. I would really love to have you experience your 7-day free trial with the Pump Squad.
Yep.
Just get your body moving and see what you think. And I would sit down and send those VMs for 2 to 3 hours a day.
Wow.
Like 5 days a week.
Yeah.
And it was very exhausting.
Yes.
And some of them worked, some of them didn't.
Yep.
I sent out.
But that's advertising, by the way. Like,
yeah,
you know, even if you pay for an Instagram ad, it's not going to convert to every person that sees it. So your method, very exhausting, but very personal as well.
And look, I know some people have expressed that they don't like receiving voice notes.
Yeah. That's me. Sorry. It's only because I don't want to do it back. So as long as people are okay if I text back, then that's fine.
Okay. Well, if I ever send you a VM, Danielle, know that I'm so fine with you texting back. To be honest, I do feel like they've had a bad rap because when someone from a pyramid scheme skincare company, I love that you're like, yep, been there. We've all been there. You get the VM and you just can't help but roll your eyes. So I really tried to, you know, change that VM experience.
Nice.
But I really just, you know, Instagram, live workouts, heaps of YouTube content, heaps of SEO. I was just reaching out to other small brands I could see were also really hustling, reaching out to them about collaborations. Hey, how can we both leverage our audience to reach more people at this time?
That's so cool. Did you have any luck with that? Like brand to brand collaboration?
Well, to be honest, let's think. Yeah, I did actually. Like quite a few swimwear companies,
cool.
like fitness mat companies.
Yeah.
And then what I find really interesting is you put yourself out there enough, and then Bala, I'm sure some listeners are familiar with Bala, really beautiful, like fitness weights and all that jazz. They reached out to me and they said, hey, like your brand look and feel is exactly what we're looking for. We'd love for you to use our Bala products. And I've still got a relationship with them now, sort of, you know, over 2 years later, which is amazing. And then the producers from Channel 9 reached out to me and they said, hey, we really want you to audition for Ninja Warrior. And I was like,
oh my God, did you do it?
Lol. Yeah.
Holy shit, cool.
So, I said to them, look, I am so happy to turn up to the audition, but I need you to know that I am G Pump fit. I'm not Ninja Warrior fit. They're two very different types of fitness. Yeah. And they said, that's so fine. That's so fine. Just come along and wear what you would wear on the course. So I actually wore one of the swimsuits I was talking about that I did a collaboration with. I was wearing my Marlo swimsuit, high cut, bronzed butt, and everyone else was just there in like their black Nike attire. I was like, hi, it's Marlo from G Pump. And I couldn't, Danielle, I could barely do anything that they asked me to do, but I tried. I really tried. And I also laughed very hard at myself. Awesome. And at the end of the audition, they said to me, hey, we really appreciate that you just gave everything a go.
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks later, I got a call and they said, hey, we want you to come and do the course. And I was like, So they flew me up to Sydney and I did it.
Wow, really that's fun. So cool.
Yeah. But it just goes to show you
put yourself out there, you know?
You do. And it's hard when you have a small business. I understand that when you're starting out, it can be really easy, like we talked about, to be intimidated, to not feel like what you're doing is perfect. But people see you, even if it's not perfect, people respect the hustle. People respect what you're working towards. And like, I love seeing that hustle. And that's why I reach out to so many people. I'm like, hey, how can I help you? Like, I can see you're working your butt off. How can I help you to get to where you're going faster? I love being involved in that kind of energy. Yeah. So you just have to fearlessly put yourself out there and opportunities will come your way. And again, it's not luck. It is just freaking hard, nonstop
it's a
work.
slog.
Yeah.
And I don't know if or when that ever ends. I think as a business owner, you need to get really comfortable with like always, pushing and trying new things and being okay with never having a to-do list done.
Absolutely. And like you mentioned earlier, Danielle, things in terms of marketing, the social media landscape, the way that people consume content, even lockdowns, right? Post-pandemic, pre-pandemic trends, things are constantly changing. And what is really demanding on brands nowadays that rely very heavily on a social media presence is that you work really hard on getting a piece of content ready and you post it and it goes out. You're like, yeah, that was really great. Oh God, I need to do all of that again tomorrow.
Yes.
And then the next day and the next day and the next day and the next day. And then it never ends.
No.
But
batch content.
Yes,
that's my hot tip for that, because I like get into the zone, I'm like, okay, I'm feeling it right now, so I can like talk at the camera and like say 10 different things so I don't have to deal with this until next week.
Absolutely. Planning is such a key. And also I met Brooke Valinovich, who you spoke with.
Oh my God, I love her. Yes.
I love Brooke. I love her story. I love her hustle for work. But, I was part of the social club community, and that every week, especially when you're really in the depths of it and you're like, I don't know if I can do this anymore, or you start getting square eyes because it's the only thing you're looking at. Just having a community. Community is so powerful. Like when the Pump Squad come together and we do our 14-day programs or our 28-day programs, whatever it is, just having a community of people around each other to say, hey, I see you, hey, I'm really proud of you, I'm cheering you on from a different state, it really makes such a difference. So if you can focus on building communities online, then honestly, I've had people that have followed my personal journey then to my fashion label, and they've purchased my clothes, and then I've moved to G Pump, and then they've bought my fitness product,
Oh my God, that's so cool.
They're buying into, I suppose, my personal story. And obviously, the product's great, but they're following me because I'm building that community. So I would say that's super important.
Yeah. And it's really interesting because I guess, we talked about building like the community for the business, but I think you're right. Like like thinking sort of differently, thinking outside of that, and the community you're building around you as a person. That's, I think, in those days where, it is super hard. And I think as a business owner too, you always like, you can't know everything, right? And so having that community, there's always someone there that knows, whether it's like, oh my God, how do I become a TikTok star this week?
Yeah.
Or, or like I need an accountant, or I need this, or I need that. Like having that, like, community outside of the community you're building for your customers, I think is super, like, it's good to differentiate the two.
Absolutely. I could not agree with you more, because I also find, and this is actually something that I have struggled with, I'm not a green smoothie drinking at the, moving my body at the gym.
Otherwise we could not be friends.
I'm not obsessed with movement. I'm not measuring my body fat. I'm not telling you how to grow your lats. That's not my personal brand, and that's not what G Pump is about. So I found it really conflicting when it came to sharing my story authentically. I thought, well, if it's not about fitness, does it make any sense? But then when I dug deeper, I realized that, yes, G Pump is a fitness product, but what drives it is joy. And joy is my driver. And that's what connects the two brands. So I've got my sort of joyful personal branding and the community that I'm building there. So if people want joyful, good vibes, they can come to my personal page. And if they want joyful, good vibes in the form of a workout and a community that is focused on, building a fitness routine and changing the way that they feel, then they can go there as well. But I think it is important splitting the two. And I always think, if in the future you ever wanted to sell your business, if you are wholly attached to that business and the business is you, then it is very hard to separate the two.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's like long-term thinking, but
a future use problem.
Yeah.
No, I think it's a really good point, because, it's a lot of times we do get kind of confused between our business brand and our personal brand. And I think sometimes when you're starting, you're experimenting. So you're kind of just posting stuff on your own
page. Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think I totally agree with that. Like being intentional about separating the two, because I also think you told the story of figuring it out, right? Like you tried a bunch of different things before you landed here. And, I think, if you at some point in the future go, G Pump's not for me anymore, but, there is somebody else who is going to make it and take it to the next level and make it more incredible, then you can step out of it a little bit more easy.
Absolutely.
And then move to the next thing. And I think, your personal brand would actually only be stronger because you've kind of got that success story to tell, but it gives you the platform to then build on and do the next thing. So
true. Yeah. You do have to future pace yourself as well, I think. And I have made the mistake of being wholly consumed by my business. I think all business owners have, right?
Totally.
And unfortunately, you can read all the inspo books and all, you can save all the inspo quotes, but I had to learn the hard way, and I just had to completely burn myself out before I realized that the way I was running my business was just completely non-sustainable. Because not only are you sitting down and doing all the marketing and behind the scenes stuff, every week I was also filming 1 hour workouts and then editing them and uploading them. So it was physically draining as well as emotionally and mentally taxing.
Yeah. So what did you do? Because I think I saw a post that you pivoted a little bit. So talk to me about that.
So it was something that I was quite scared to do. And I imagine it's something that a lot of business owners are super frightful to do, to make changes to your business so that you survive or thrive. How about we thrive? Wouldn't that be nice?
I'm in.
So from what I could tell, I was filming workouts every single week, but then I also had my to-do list of deliverables that I had to do for the business every week, which meant that I was working 7 days a week. And I couldn't remember the last time I'd had a weekend, like maybe in 2 years. There were a handful of weekends where I actually had 2 consecutive days off.
Wow.
And there's 132 workouts in the G Pump studio. So I thought, even if I didn't contribute one more workout, a Pump Squad member would have to go through all of the 132 workouts 3 times in a year. And it's like doing the same workout 3 times over 365 days.
Yeah.
That's not too bad.
Absolutely.
So, I've spoken to other business owners that said, whatever you do, don't drop your cost, just provide more value. Yeah. And I just thought, I don't have any more value to give. I literally have nothing else to give. So if I have to take a financial step back from the business, but it means that I can thrive, well, then I'm at the point where that's a decision that I'm going to make. So I think it was, maybe like 3 months now. 3 months ago, I announced to the Pump Squad that there were going to be no more workouts in the studio. And I effectively halved the cost of the membership every month. Yeah. So now it only costs $29 a month. So, on a 31-day month, it's very cost effective, less than $1, my friends.
Absolutely. Love that. You can't buy a cup of coffee for that.
You can't. Oh my goodness. Like, the cost of everything is going up. I get it. And a lot of people can't indulge in $80 a week to go to an F45 to sling some weights around. So I wanted to make it accessible and I wanted to make it joyful. And because it's a web-based service, it's literally available to anyone in the world at any time in the world. And since I've made that decision, I'm just like,
the weight.
Seriously, why didn't I do this sooner?
Wow.
Because I didn't lose any members. no one has complained to say, oh, there's no new workouts in the studio.
New stuff.
Yeah, because everyone has their favorite workouts, right? That they keep going back to. So now what I do every week is within the 132 workouts, because it is a lot, I spotlight different ones like, hey guys, remember this amazing workout on the beaches of Tasmania? Yeah. So it's far less work. I don't have to give as much physically, which means that I now have more time for myself to just take care of myself, lean into my relationship, pat my dogs, work on the business rather than in the business.
Yeah.
And the really charming thing about it is that opportunities have sort of come my way without, busting my butt to get them. They've just literally fallen into my Instagram inbox like, hey, I saw you in the area. We'd really like to do this. I'm about to do an event with Nimble Activewear here in Brisbane in the next week. Yep. So it's just, it's been a really lovely evolution. The Pump Squad continues to grow. It's just been all goodness. So I would say to any business owner listening, if you are literally at breaking point and you're really scared to make that decision, well, all I would say is, what is going to be the roll-on effect if you don't make those changes? Because if you're broken and you can't run your business at all, well, then that's no good to anyone, So you may as well have a little bit of something rather than 100% of nothing.
Marlo, you are absolutely incredible. I think that there is no better way to end the podcast. I literally can't thank you enough for sharing the story, warts and all, and and being so honest, because I think that is just so important. There's just so many, snippets of wisdom that you just gave everyone that I know is going to lighten the load for the female founders listening. So I'm so grateful for your time.
Oh, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to spread joy. That's what I'm here for.
I love it. Awesome.
Thanks, Danielle.
And we will cut the video there. You are awesome. You're so amazing. That's fabulous.
Oh, thank you so much. I love these interactions with people. They're just the best. So thank you. I appreciate it.
I've kind of decided this is my favorite part of my business, just talking to people and,
I get it.
Sharing the stories. And it's so funny. Like I like my brain just starts going. So I'm like, oh yeah, I need to do that in my business. Like it's actually inspiring for me as well. So
a blessing and a curse, I imagine, because you'd end every podcast with like,
like a giant,
so here's 19 things
I need to
do.
I'm like trying to be sly and like write things down on a piece of paper.
Good work. It didn't notice.
Oh, that's so funny. No, that's awesome. No, I do. I really appreciate it. That was incredible and, super fun. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be featured on this podcast. When I see the other women in the lineup for this podcast, I'm like, wow, thank you. I really appreciate it. And also congratulations on building such an amazing community, right?
Oh, thank you. Thank you. No, it's awesome. I love it. It's, as you know, it's a labor of love. It's not easy some days, but I absolutely love it. So
good for you. We'll keep it up.
Cool. Well, this episode should be out on the 1st of November. So I'll keep you updated along the way and tag the crap out of you as well.
Reshare, get the listens up. I'll probably put it in an EDM. I'll share it with my Pump Squad face. So we'll get some earballs to the potty.
Love it. You are the best.
Okay. Thanks, Danielle. We'll have a really good night.
Have a great night. Yeah, you too.
I'll speak to you soon. Bye.
Bye.